fax machine actually illustrates a very interesting point around something called the network effect. And the network effect essentially says, as nodes are added to the network, the value of the network increases. What if you were able to take each node in that network and amplify it exponentially by making it smarter or making it faster? Now, fax machines can't do that, but people can. When you put them in the right environment, you get this amplification effect of your people. More content, faster, smarter people. Back in 2009, a guy named Nicholas Carr wrote a great article called IT Doesn't Matter. In there, he actually said, what makes a resource truly strategic is not ubiquity, but scarcity. Technology is not a competitive differentiator for your company. You all have it. But what separates the winners and the losers are those who figured out how to make it work for them. So if you can't, with clarity, answer this question of who owns your intranet, the very first thing you should do the next day when you get back is figure that one out. Stop thinking about a beginning and end for your intranet. Stop thinking about launches. Think about continuum of time. Who owns your intranet? What are the 3 things you want an employee to be able to accomplish on their intranet? What business problem are you trying to solve? These are 3 questions that are pivotal in understanding the outcome of success for your intranet. With a checkbook and electricity, I can build you anything. The hard part is for you to figure out what you want to build, why you want to build it, and what you want to get out of it. If you don't know the answers to those 3 questions, for God's sakes, don't build it. With great power comes great responsibility. We need to make sure that we don't do things just because we can. I want to talk about 5 big questions that you need to answer. Who's my intranet really for? How much planning is enough? What's the ROI of my intranet? User adoption, it's all that matters. User adoption, it's all that matters. I didn't say that one twice. What's too much governance? And 2 really important points. It ain't SharePoint's fault, for the most part. More than half have said that they are stalled, struggling, or failing with their SharePoint deployment. Why are they stalled, struggling, or failing? Lack of expertise, lack of vision or strategy, poor user adoption, and lack of governance. SharePoint, for the most part, is pretty good. But when you force SharePoint to do ungodly acts, you get ungodly results. Second thing, we need to think about the productivity of time. Time is expensive. Nowhere is that more true than we think about the cost of our internet. So, first question, and this is back to, how much planning. And my lesson from here is the idea that time is your enemy when it comes to anything that we do on the internet. Anyone seen this before? There's various variations floating around the World Wide Web. What happens in 1 minute on the internet? 1 minute, right? 2 million searches on Google, 6 million Facebook views, 20 million photo views on Flickr, 61,000 hours of music, some ridiculous video number, 30 hours of video upload in 1 minute. It was the illustrious leader Bill Gates who wrote the Internet Time, right? The pace of business at Internet Time. There is more new stuff being added into our job descriptions every single day. All of us feel that. About we need to add this, and we got to think about social. We need to. That's the pace of change in the world that we live in. Okay, so if your planning cycle to build your intranet is in a sort of extra long amount of time, you're going to miss something. So plan for just good enough. Perfect is your enemy. Aim for good enough. Here's my lesson learned. So, working for a large communication company in Toronto. This is the corner of Mount Pleasant and Bloor, for those of you who know Toronto. The office of our client was over here. When I first went for my first meeting, I parked where that building was. In the amount of time it took us to finish the planning requirements, a condo developer built and had people move into a 30-story office building. In the amount of time it took this company to get their ducks in a row to be able to actually execute on an intranet strategy. Now there are a couple of reasons for that. First time is, it's everyone comes to the table to play, right? You get IT, you get finance, you get, everybody comes to play, they all have a say, and massive bun fights happen, people throw their toys out of the crib, you get all that stuff. So you need a really good process for getting you through that, and you need to have executive buy-in at a certain level such that someone can say, enough, good enough, let's go. Because if you wait and try and get it right, you're going to be trying to get it right and something new is going to come along that is important. Go fast, but don't get burned. All right. Number 2, probably the most controversial thing I'll say. Not adhering to Pareto's law. Pareto's law is the 80-20. So, not all your users are equal. Say it after me. Not all your users are equal. We work with oil and gas companies, we work with people who have hourly employees, we work with companies who have unions. How do I get those people to get on my intranet? How do I get my oil and field services workers, reading the news or doing stuff? You won't. Really easy. So take a look at your organization and figure out who are the 20% that drive 80% of the value? Because it's absolutely true in your organization. Let me give you an example. We work with a company in the oil and gas field. They have something called excellence networks. Excellence networks are a cross-functional group of individuals scattered throughout the organization from different disciplines. And their mandate, right down from the CEO, is to find $200 million worth of savings for the company every single year. I build them whatever the hell they want. Because they find money hand over fist all the time. So what do they want on the intranet? How can I help them collaborate better? How can I help them share documents? That's a very focused, task-driven, outcome-specific type of example. Give them whatever they want. If you're trying to get a field services worker, guys with big thumbs, right, who carry wrenches all day, to look at your pretty intranet, you're in trouble. They're not going to do it. They have better things to do, like keeping the company running. Now, that's not to say you should ignore them, but don't focus on them. If something pops up, if something's there as an opportunity, seize the opportunity. But recognize that I have yet to meet a client with infinite time and infinite budget. So, what's that mean? You have to, by definition, prioritize what you are doing. If you don't prioritize, your spray and pray approach will result in sort of a mediocre, lackluster opportunity lost. Focus on who's important, figure out who's important, build for them what you need to build, and then worry about the rest when time comes into play. Okay? 3, not driving ROI through end-to-end self-service, relatively self-explanatory. So 2 things out of this, which is pick certain tasks inside your organization and figure out how to make them better. So forms are a great example of this. Paid time off forms, employee expense forms, whatever it is. Pick one, when you go back to your office next week, pick one of those processes and start it off. And measure, time, how long it takes from you to say, I am going to find the form, fill in the form, submit the form, get the form back. Figure out what those are. And then figure out how you can make it better. Right? Did you find it in the search engine? Was it in the top results? If not, go with best bets. Right? Take any process you have, and then, if you have the ways and means, find 5 people. Ask them to do the same thing. Make it better. Do this. Find this task. Time them. And what you're going to get is, in order to do the paid time off form, it takes 2 minutes and 36 seconds. Make some changes. Make it better. Get the same group of people, or new people, statistically probably, and make them do the same thing. And if you save time, which you should, then publish it on your own internal blog around the intranet. And what you will get over time is a long list of ways that you've saved the company money. And you go back to your productivity of time spreadsheet, and you have this list of saying, well, we started in 2015, These 10 processes are now 5 minutes faster for each one. That time is now back into the system. So when you go to the CFO or you go to the governance committee to say, I want more money for search or I want more money for this, and they say we don't have the money, you point them to the blog and say, well, everything we're doing on the intranet right now is saving people time and making more money. And that's all I want to do. I want to keep doing that. And the budget will show up, I guarantee you. Do that, but publish it. And don't do a big survey. Don't necessarily waste your time, effort, and money by having a massive focus group. 10 people, get them in a room. It doesn't have to be scientific here, people. No one's going to check your math, really. It's got to be good enough. Okay? All right.